Hello, everyone. We hope that you guys are doing well today. Meg and I are here to talk a little bit about this idea, this concept, maybe even a little bit of research here. I came across this article, this idea that talked about fresh starts, and it reminded me of a movie, which unfortunately Meg had not seen. So then it did not make the joke. It didn't, yeah, make the line funny at all since I was the only one laughing. But it's this idea around like fresh starts and how certain times of the year, like our brain naturally just is wired to starting over. So thinking about New Year's, for example, January 1. That's a pretty popular time to think about, new starts. Who can I be? What do I want to do? And there's other times of year, too. Back to school season for many people, September, early fall is another kind of fresh start season, if you will, for those that maybe fall on the fiscal year. October, right? For people in business, finance. I know my dad being a CPA, like October 1 is kind of a big, fresh start kind of to the year. So, there's a lot of maybe different points in time throughout a calendar year that can
Pumpkin
act.
spice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That can act and kind of serve as like a fresh start, right? And so I liked this concept of fresh start because I think for advisors, Meg, that they can lean maybe on this kind of language when it comes to goals, tasks, planning, all of those things. And so I thought maybe we could just chat a little bit about like how maybe each of us thinks about a fresh start, how we might encourage and or help advisors if they think this is a cool idea, like lean into using this with their clients. All right, so I'm going to pause and I'm gonna let you go. What's coming up for you around this idea of fresh starts?
So, so what's coming up for me is the scientific name for what you're saying, which is it's it's referred to as temporal landmark.
Which is an I know that's why I didn't say it because it is an awful
It is an awful
name. When I was reading that, I was like, I'm not saying that. I was like, that is yeah, yeah, yeah.
name known as a
Yes,
temporal landmark, and
correct.
it is true that thinking of or utilizing these because we do it all the time as humans love to categorize things. And so like even when people typically think back over their lives, like you can even see it there too. They'll be like, oh, these are the college years. Okay, these were my early years. These were my 20s. Oh, that was this time. We do this. We kind of organize our life sort of in chapters, and we can absolutely, research would show that taking advantage of those temporal landmarks, um, new birthday, new year, whatever, what have you, school season, pumpkin spice season, that these are. I don't like those, by the way. I
No,
probably
PSL is like, pff,
yeah,
yeah,
yuck. Regular good coffee. But anyway, I know that it's a thing. That these do help us, and they help us related to a different topic. It helps us because it gives us what's called the clean slate mentality. We should probably say that a lot of this research comes from Katie Milkman. If you've ever read her or heard of her, she has a book. I'm holding it. It's called How to Change: The Science of Getting from Where You Are to Where You Want to Be. It's a great book, and there's a whole section on this particular topic, and that clean slate mentality. It allows people to leave whatever happened December 31st, having
get it.
champagne and eating too much caviar, to then say, okay, it's January 1, clean slate. I don't have to deal with the caviar and champagne of my prior years. I now get to have, I don't know, carrots and water. And so that allows us to like leave the imperfections in the past and think about or step into our future selves, which is kind of even similar to like some Dweck's research, the lady that is big on like the power of yet. It's that idea of we're going to step into the identity of our future selves, our healthier selves, our uh, whatever future version that you not currently are. You can step into that with this sort of clean slate mentality.
It is. I think from that kind of clean slate mentality, like fresh start, um, some other things in terms of like why, there is, and this is true even for myself, is that there's like this natural confidence boost of like, okay, fresh start, it's now January 1 or it's now September 1st or it's the day after my birthday. Like there is this like confidence kind of boost which can really help with motivation, right? There's some like natural then kind of motivation there around these fresh starts or around these, clean slate kind of opportunities, if you will. And I think that in that place, we are then kind of primed a little bit more naturally for big picture thinking, there. And so, that is and can be really important for advisors just to know like, okay, it's not just that it's a clean slate, it's a fresh start. Like we're forgetting all of the bad stuff that we ate and or did not do, right? I'm thinking exercise wise, like, okay, it's not that we're forgetting that. It's that naturally on these fresh start landmarks, temporal landmarks, that there is a little bit of confidence boost. There's some more motivation there that maybe we can lean on or utilize when it comes to, completing tasks that are, left not attended to or new goals, what have you.
Yeah, and I want to double click on like the things that we didn't do. So this motivation, it is there. That is true. It works best on like and this is from like Katie's book. Or Dr. Milkman's book. She's talking about it can be kind of short lived. Like we all go to the gym January 2nd. By January 10th, about half of us have stopped. And so it's this like the one and done actions are super super powerful for the quick starts or for the clean slate, for this temporal landmark to like really have its due. So if you wanted them to update their estate plan, pick a landmark, and then make that the one and done. If they needed to update their insurance, if they needed to change their, I don't know, 401k allocation or some other allocation, like things that they can do and then not have to worry about again are really, really great because you can usually harness that motivation that, again, it's not going to last. So it has to be like, get it while it's good. But that can be super, super helpful. So this would be like the best time, I guess, to, if they haven't started an automatic account, to do that, to put those sort of things in place so that they never have to think about it again. Because the fresh starts is a real thing. Motivation does wane.
Yeah, as I think most of us out there know, whenever we've set a goal and had that experience of like clean slate, fresh start, and then it's, you know, to your point, 2 weeks later, like we are not in the gym consistently. Or we have started, now going back to eating caviar and drinking all the things instead of the carrots and water that we promised ourselves that we would eat instead. So knowing that, and I even just think knowing that, like for an advisor, just knowing, even if your client is super motivated, it's easy to jump on that train with them and be like, oh yeah, like this is amazing. Like now we're going to get all these things done, right? Probably not. And you might get one, which is important, I think, in terms of
Pick the right one. Yeah.
breaking things down into very small micro steps or tasks. But also knowing like, okay, they are super motivated right now, but emotionally, I probably should not jump on their motivation train because we're going to take off fast and then we're going to stop very, very quickly. And I don't want to get whiplash. So, you know, keeping that kind of in the back of your mind. I had this thought and I'm curious as to your thoughts on this as well. these clean slate, kind of fresh start, psychological opportunities, if you will. What comes up for me is talking about identity too, and that I think it's easy to focus on in these moments the tasks and the getting things done and checking like the block. But what also, I guess, and this is, I recognize a bit woo woo therapist-y, shockingly, but what also comes up for me is it could be a good opportunity to talk about like, okay, who am I becoming? Um, who do I want to become or lean into becoming more of? And so, I wonder maybe from your perspective, just, how can we balance like identity and task completion on these fresh start. Yeah, I don't know.
You should really give me more heads up
I'm sorry for putting you
for
on the
like
spot.
smart things to say.
Okay, well, maybe not balance, but what comes up for you when you hear me say like talking about like maybe identity? Let's just start there. Like,
I mean, I like that a lot because it makes me think of the research from Dweck that it's not necessarily about who you are right now. It's about who you want to be. And stepping into that. Like she has a great example that I've never forgotten about when she talks about people on a diet. And you can be like, oh, I'm on a diet. I'm gonna eat this stupid salad. Once again, this stupid carrot and this stupid water, and you
yeah,
can be super mad. About like, oh, I'm on this diet. Whereas her research shows that if instead you say to yourself as you walk into the kitchen, I'm a healthy eater. I eat what healthy people eat. That this slight change in your identity, because in one, you're on a diet and you have to sacrifice all this stuff and now you're mad about it, versus I'm a healthy eater, I'm gonna eat what healthy people eat, then you choose different things. And you're not mad about it. So like the odds of it lasting longer and for you really to and all of that is about identity. That you're choosing to be a healthy eater, versus I'm on a diet. And I think that when it comes to our finances, maybe, I mean, far more than maybe our eating, like to say, I'm responsible with money. I feel confident about my finances. When I go to make this next decision, I'm going to be clear. I'm going to feel freedom. I'm going to, like, whatever it is. And to step into that identity and allow yourself then to make decisions from that perspective, from that place. I think that is just a really healthy thing to do, and absolutely an opportunity. As we're using some of that motivation, we've got them maybe excited, and then to call that out and to say, we this is an opportunity, to think about this differently, or to face this differently, or think about this differently. What do you want to do? How do you want to step into this next year, this next time, whatever it is. I think that those do go hand in hand really well.
yeah, I really like that from a reframe standpoint. Those thoughts, those things that we tell ourselves, the stories right there around who we are. Um, these fresh start, clean slate moments, temporal landmarks are really good opportunities, I think, then to change the script on that. And advisors can, certainly do that, even just asking that question. And, for clients and really for everyone, for anyone, being able to reframe those statements. I know that when we get off here and I go down to the fridge, I'm going to say, I am a healthy eater. I am a healthy eater. Because I'm going to want to grab chips and guac really quick.
They're probably
But
worse.
I mean, avocados are healthy. You know,
Avocados are totally healthy.
yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. But I like the idea of reframing like our thoughts and from an identity place using that, to help us step into more of who we want to become. But also then maybe where this ties into, I don't know, the balance or just tying it into like achieving, tasks or accomplishing things is if I am stepping into this identity of I am good with money, I am responsible with money, then what would a responsible person with money be doing? Well, they would be calling their estate attorney to set up an appointment to finalize the docs, and get those signed, right? And then boom, like there's your plan. There's your like kind of next steps.
But that does more. What you're talking about does more than just motivation. Like you're talking about agency, you're talking about self-efficacy, and that's priceless.
It
That's
is
like so
priceless.
important.
Yeah. Listen, I feel like I feel like this is kind of a good like mic drop kind of place to like wrap us up
Well,
around. But I
actually,
also feel like you have more things to say.
well, I have it. I have. So fresh starts are great, uh, but there was also research in her book. There was also like fresh starts can also suck.
Oh man, I
And
was
yeah, I
hoping
know.
you weren't going to say
But
that.
I think it's really important to point out because if you have some good going, don't 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 make the fresh start be like, oh, I have to stop. So in the book, actually, I don't remember which researcher it is. It's actually one of her graduate students, but they were studying MLB baseball players and that get traded mid-season. And when you get traded mid-season, whatever you had done up to that point, kind of like clean slate, now you're on this new team and like none of the things that you did count. And people played worse, because sometimes they're getting traded because they're doing really well. Then you put them on this other team and it starts to go bad. And, we could even see, like, not even being an MLB player, we can see, like, okay, I'm doing all the things, I'm taking care of my kids, I'm getting everybody to school, I'm going to the gym. Okay, now I'm also, going to like make myself, I don't know, take up sewing, something, I don't know.
You
Probably
are
I'm gonna
you
go back to eating caviar and drinking
you
champagne.
are I mean, okay, 60-year-old grandma here.
But it's not. I had good going. I had a pattern that was working for me, and I had success, and I felt like I was, doing things. And so if I then trade myself, or if I add this other thing on top, then it can actually mess up some of the other progress. And so as much as I'm always for change, we're always changing. I also think that there are times when it's like, I'm doing pretty good, and I think I'm just gonna ride this wave. And so I think that is worth pointing out, that like if we need to jumpstart, our client, if we need to jumpstart ourselves, then taking stock of these sort of motivational boosts that you get from the fresh starts and the cool things we can think about with identity and some of DeWeck's research and like stepping into the future self that we want to be. I think that is awesome. And I also just want to say, if you also have a lot on your plate and you're doing pretty good, screw the fresh start. Just keep doing good and don't worry.
Well, I think to pull back for advisors and first kind of even just asking like, "Hey, I hear like you're kind of excited about this, but let's also talk about capacity. And where are you with that capacity for being able to take advantage of maybe potentially some natural motivation? Would it be wise to do that because maybe it wouldn't be? And, I totally understand like being in a place and being like excited and then biting off more than I can chew. And then to your point, right? And the research, then it goes badly. And then I'm really upset with myself. And, the shame spiral just like takes over and it's not a fun ride. So I think advisors can, before jumping on that, motivation bandwagon or train with their clients is even just asking, like, hey, do you have capacity? Let's think about that for a second before maybe we,
Yeah,
add
because you
on
can
these
always pick
things.
the next landmark.
You
That's the
could.
fun things is that like, okay, January 1's going to pass us by, but April 15th, another landmark. Their birthday, another landmark. Whatever. If things are going good, or if they don't have capacity or something like that, then just think to the next landmark. I think you can still use it, but it's not necessarily like you must use every.
Yeah. Yeah. I had this thought of even too, like asking for clients, like maybe there's some personal landmarks that they have, like their birthday or an anniversary or their children's birthday. Like maybe even just asking, like, what are some of those natural points? I mean, I know for me, like for my birthday, like, you know, the like, so haha, my birthday is April 15th. Yeah, I know, it's so freaking weird. Like come October, already thinking about, like I need to get in shape for my birthday. Or I need to start doing like I might start thinking there. So even just asking if clients have any of their
Yeah,
own
yeah.
personal, you know, temporal landmarks, fresh start moments. It might be different than kind of the assumed popular ones that, we talk about,
Could
but
be. Yeah, that's a good point.
it could be good to ask and just see. Obviously, you would want to document that like in your CRM because to your point, like, okay, we've missed January 1, but your birthday, right, might be coming up in February. And maybe that's the next one that we just kind of look at. So I like that you mentioned all of that. Before
We
I cut
talked
you off
about
too
it with the beach,
short,
and we were like, great, why throw this off? But now we have a better idea.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Okay. Again, another just kind of like feel like the mic is just like hanging right now. Like, like I don't know, but anything else, Meg, on your end that comes to mind around fresh starts and what advisors could be thinking about, how they can frame things, what questions, I don't know, anything.
Honestly, I think that we might have covered it. I feel pretty good right now. Nothing else is like immediately coming to mind that like, oh yeah, we also have to talk about this when it comes to fresh starts. I just think it's good to know that the brain works in that way, and that we can totally take advantage of it in a couple of ways. Whether it's like the motivational to do, and/or it's like who you want to be. These are wonderful questions to ask or engage people on when it comes to whatever those milestone moments are um, for them.
I think that's a great way to wrap us up. And what I would say to those of you listening is first, thank you. Thanks for allowing Meg and I into your ears and into your mind. Thank you for considering, hopefully, maybe any of the things that we just riffed on here. But also, if you have questions, if you have things that come up with clients and or within your practice, we would love to hear them. We would love for you to reach out. You can shoot us an email, hello@beyondthefp.com, and just put in the subject line questions there, and we can get to those. Or you can message us on LinkedIn. That's where we hang out. You can shoot us a DM with any kind of questions, and we can jump on and do more of these, hopefully helpful, very just kind of practical, specific ways of addressing this question. So thank you to every single one of you out there, and we will see you next time.
Ciao, ciao.